Okay, imagine this. You feel like you've been seriously wronged, maybe scammed. You do the right thing, you go to the police, report it, and then sometime later, you get a letter. And that letter basically explains why, well, nothing's happening. That's exactly the situation we're diving into today.
Yeah.
We've got these two police responses, basically email excerpts that lay out why a criminal fraud case against someone the documents call Ghazala Din the scammer is being dropped.
And it's fascinating how they explain it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Our mission here really is to pull apart these, critical legal differences, the gap between feeling wronged and having a crime that can actually be prosecuted, and what that means for you if you ever face something, well, something that feels similar.
Let's jump right in. What were the first problems the police ran into? They mention right away that some key details from the person reporting the crime. They weren't even put in the initial report.
Right, that's a shaky start.
And maybe more importantly, the victim themselves apparently said there was no evidence of formal written contracts,
No.
just WhatsApp messages, verbal chats. The police were pretty blunt, saying those will not suffice.
Mhm.
They also flagged that a lot of this communication went through someone else, this Nizar person. That seemed to be a pattern. So, okay,
Yeah.
what's the big hurdle there, legally speaking?
Well, the core challenge for the police in a criminal fraud case is proving two things. First, did Ghazala Din make what's called a false representation? Basically, did she lie?
Okay.
But second, and this is the tough one, was that lie dishonestly made? Meaning, did she know it was untrue or misleading when she said it? It's about proving intent. They tried, they mentioned seizing electronic devices, looking for evidence,
Right.
but they came up empty on formal contracts. And they concluded that basically no other digging was likely to turn up solid proof of that specific dishonest intent.
And this is where it gets really, really insightful for you listening. The police actually say, let me find the quote. They're minded that on the balance of probabilities, there is an argument this money was for the purposes stated.
Meaning it probably was a scam.
Probably was, yeah. They even say the threshold is certainly open for a civil case. But then, bang, they hit us with the big difference.
Uh-huh.
The criminal standard is beyond reasonable doubt. That's so much higher.
It's a huge difference. Absolutely the crux of it. Think about it like this. For a criminal conviction, the evidence needs to be almost watertight, like 99% certainty, no reasonable alternative explanation.
Okay.
But for a civil case, the kind they suggest the victim could pursue, it's just balance of probabilities. Is it more likely than not, even just 51% likely, that the money was taken improperly?
So a much lower bar.
Much lower. And connecting that back, the police couldn't definitively prove the reason things went wrong was dishonesty rather than, say, unforeseen circumstances. Maybe bad business decisions, maybe something else fell through.
Ah, right. And they mentioned something about that possibility, didn't they?
They did. They noted that apparently some early investors did see returns. That fact alone makes it harder to argue it was a deliberate scam from the very beginning, beyond that reasonable doubt standard. It introduces, well, doubt.
So because they couldn't nail down that specific dishonest intent to the incredibly high criminal standard, what's the final verdict from them?
It means the evidence just didn't meet the required threshold of reasonable prospect of conviction. Plain English. Not enough solid proof to likely win in a criminal court. And they figured more investigation wouldn't change that. So the outcome is case filed, no further action taken.
But importantly, it's not necessarily a complete dead end for the person who lost money.
Exactly right. They specifically advised the victim to think about civil options, using that lower standard, the balance of probabilities, where they actually suggest there's a greater chance of success. So really highlights that even if the criminal route closes, you might still have other legal pathways.
Wow. This whole thing really throws a spotlight on that massive gap between, feeling certain you've been wronged and what the legal system needs to actually prove it, especially criminal versus civil.
Oh, absolutely. And it hammers home just how vital formal agreements are. Written contracts, clear terms, relying on informal chats, WhatsApp. It's just, well, it's risky if things go south.
Yeah, risky is putting it mildly in this context. So for you, the key takeaway has to be how these precise legal standards, these burdens of proof, can completely alter the outcome, even when the situation feels clear-cut to the victim.
So maybe a final thought to leave you with. Knowing this, knowing about these different evidence hurdles, how might that change how you approach agreements in the future? Or even just how you read headlines about court cases? Something to think about.